Cheryl has me weeding today, which is my favorite thing to do in the whole world. I love weeding.
Did you say eating?
Eating. I love eating. It's a little bit more accurate. So we're just cleaning some of these beds up and getting these ready for more lettuce and some other things. We just did these 2 rows, red and green Salanova. We did that about 4 days ago. Today we're putting in beets and Swiss chard, I think possibly collards. Yep. Getting ready for our next wave of farmers market veggies. So we have a lot of bare space at the moment. So this is our next wave of beets. Oh no, we have some other beets inside the greenhouse.
Yeah, we have beets in the greenhouse. This is the second transplant. Originally we did 1 transplant, and then I did direct seed, which was not the greatest. That's why we're doing transplants again. And then I did direct seed in the greenhouse, which was better than what was out here. But yeah.
How many beets do we have going in now?
There are 100 beet plants going in, but they're in doubles, so each one will have 2. Well, not every single one, but most of them will have 2. So there'll be about 200 beets in this half of a 50-foot row, so it'll be about 25 feet.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that the beets are probably one of our best sellers at the farmers market.
Yeah.
Did not see that coming. Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, it's been interesting. So.
So far with our farmers market this year, what do you think? How do you think it's going so far?
I think it's going okay. I mean, I don't really have anything to compare it to, but I think that, we're excited to do it, and it kind of drives me to get back out here and, do more weed, which you're doing most of the weeding right now, but
I love it.
You love it, yeah, I know. But I think it's going okay. I think it's, it's a lot more work than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think the most challenging part of it is?
Well, I think the most challenging part is just planning everything and getting everything in the ground, timing to be able to harvest it and get it to the market. I think that's been the hardest. We had some circumstances that we had a couple weeks where I wasn't really, here, and my dad was sick, and so we kind of, slacked on some planting time. But I think that's probably the hardest, the most difficult part for me. I mean, I'm a planner, you know me. I have lists for my lists. So, but this is like a totally different beast. I'm learning how to do succession planting. I'm learning, what's growing in our area, what doesn't want to grow in our area.
What people are actually buying and what they're not buying.
What's popular. what's
Kale is not popular.
no, not. I love kale. I mean, I like kale. I put it in things, all things, but also, you know, pests and bugs and those kinds of things. We're learning how to manage a little bit better.
Yeah. Probably my favorite part of the farmers market, I think, is just actually seeing the people that are going to be eating the stuff that we've been growing. You know, it's just kind of cool to meet and talk with people and see where they're from. And, you know, there's quite a few people that are gardeners that, you know, want to talk shop and, you know, what we're doing compared to what they're doing. And
we are by no means any experts. I do I read, I'm on YouTube, I'm constantly trying to learn new things, understand how, you know, the importance of crop rotation and, you know, pest control and all those things, but I'm still learning. So anyone that's out there is taking me as an expert. I'm nowhere near being any kind of expert in gardening at all.
Yeah, I mean, we've come a long way, I think, you know, since we started. I mean,
I've been growing food since the kids were little.
Yeah.
I've had a garden since, you know, I was in my 20s.
Right.
So for almost 30 years, I've had a garden.
Yeah, very small scale. I mean, this is definitely way more than what we've ever done before.
We've never had this much growing at one time.
Can be a little overwhelming at times.
Right.
Just because of something always gets put on the back burner.
Yeah.
Usually it's the housework.
Yeah. Don't come over my house unless you're invited. Especially in the summertime. But I enjoy being outside and in the garden, and I've always felt like it was like my time for like just reflection and meditation and just getting, you know, it sounds so cliche, but just being connected to everything outside, you know, because we spend so much time, you know, behind screens, technology, you know, our phones constantly distracting us. So being out here and just being around all the sound, birds, bees, you know, just your thoughts, you know, sometimes people like to run away from their thoughts, but sometimes your thoughts are very helpful to you. So I enjoy it.
So I know it's kind of early on in the season, but what do you think, some things that you would want to do differently next year for the farmers market or for you know, the garden in general?
Well, I think with everything that we've kind of learned this year alone, I think that's going to help us next year with just preparing, just being more organized. I mean, as you can see, I'm using my clippers as my hole digger because I can't find my hori knife right now. So just being a little more organized, getting things put back where they belong, and just having more of a schedule and some timing. I think that's what I'll probably work on a little bit more, be a little bit more efficient with our time.
Yeah.
What do you want to work on?
Vacation time. Can you think of any tips that you've received this year that really made some big changes for you?
Well, I follow a lot of market garden channels, no-till farmers, or growers, no-till growers. His name is Jesse, and actually recently they just had a live stream, and we've had a hard time with our carrots, getting them germinated. And a lot of people have issues with carrots. Some people, on a small scale, there's a lot of things that you can do, makes it a little bit easier. But on a larger scale, I'm trying to seed a 50-foot bed because you can't do transplants for carrots. It's hard. And they just had a live stream, and I asked that question, and they actually picked my question. So they really, I rely a lot on, YouTube and the people on YouTube who have been doing this for a long time. But the carrot tip was to keep them covered. Check them in about 5 days. Make sure that you're keeping them moist, and you want to use covering that's going to reflect the sun. So you don't want to retain the heat on the bed. So if you have like something that has a black and a white side, you want to flip the white side up, because that actually repels or reflects the sun instead of drawing the sun down on which would be the black side. It would actually bring more of the heat down underneath. But those were two things that I knew about, but didn't really implement. But this time I did. This last time I tried to seed them, and it really did help a lot. So I mean, we got about 75% germination this time around, where before it was less than 25%.
And keeping them, he said, also keeping them moist, constantly moist for the first
5
days, and then also to check them
at about 5 days. Check them, and if you see any of the carrots sprouting, you have to take that off. Take the covering off right away, because then you'll start to basically they need the photosynthesis, they need the light. So as soon as you see the sprouts, you want to take the covering off, or else you're going to kill them.
Yeah, which I think we left it on.
Yeah, we did.
We left it on too long the last time. Plus, we used a black tarp.
Right. We did it 3 times.
Yeah.
So.
3 times the wrong way.
No, twice the wrong way.
Oh, okay.
Twice the wrong way. The 3rd time I kind of just, winged it, but I kept it really moist. And we were very fortunate. We got a lot of rain that week that I put them in. So I didn't have to actually water. But the first week that I tried to do the transplants, it was so hot. It was the week almost that 2 weeks that we got like 90-degree weather, which here in New England we don't get 90-degree weather that often. And if we do, it's usually in August, not in June.
Right.
So
we've also had pretty good luck with our broccoli, which we never were able to do before.
Yeah, last year. This year was.
I think that has a lot to do with the covering that we started using. We never used to cover our broccoli before, and it would just get all eaten up. And now we're using the Agribond.
Yep, Agribond.
And
just the
keeping all those white flies and
the bug netting.
All the bug netting to keep all the little critters out.
Those little white butterflies that, I don't know if they're butterflies, but they're moths of some kind.
Yeah, I thought somebody said they're called white flies, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's another thing I want to learn a little bit more about, is like what types of pests they are. And I mean, the better you know your enemy, the better you can fight your enemy. So
we recently started doing farmers markets twice a week now. Actually, once a week and one every other week. And there's actually a farmers market that we want to try, but we're just not sure at this point in time if we're going to be able to do.
Yeah, I think we might be a little
twice a week. Yeah.
A little overwhelmed right now with what we already are committed to doing.
Yeah, it's not that we wouldn't want to. I think we could do it. It's just we're just not, as far as the amount of produce we have, I don't think it's going to actually be able to keep up, because the 2 markets that we've been going to, we've been doing pretty well. We're not bringing a whole bunch of produce with us, but we've been selling out almost at both markets, I guess.
Yeah, we have the last few weeks. I would say for people who might be thinking about doing something like this, whether it be on a small scale, you have an acre or a quarter of an acre, and you want to grow your own food, or you want to participate in some local farmers markets, I would say just try it. Like, don't let fear hold you back. It took us a few years to find a piece of property, but we always kind of waited for, well, we need this, or we need that, or we have to do this, or we have to do that. And then this year we just basically said, let's just start participating.